We are live.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to Vancity Beats, Eats, and Amore. My name is Kazi, your host, and I'm joined today by my beautiful, wonderful sister, Maria Cenzina, who is mia sorella, my Italian sister, a musician, a poet, a sound healer, a jewelry designer and maker, an entrepreneur, many wonderful things. And one of the most healing presences in my life, presents, let's say that, a gift. Yeah, so
sweet. Thanks.
every time I go into this woman's house, she is literally always nourishing me, feeding me Italian food. I can't not do this, girl. Like,
It's just okay. It's needed. Yeah.
and I get it. Like, you have to be expressive with your hands.
You have to. Yeah.
I've always said that if I was not Filipino and I was not born Filipino, I would have loved to be Italian because of our shared values in food, in family, and just celebration and connection. So today I asked Maria if she would come and be a guest, that we could talk about her many creative and artistic pursuits, as well as make one of her family recipes. So we're making arancini, which in Italian means orange. Kind of looks orange, but do not be deceived. It is carbs and it is protein, baby. Yeah, Maria, can you tell us more about what arancini is and what we're gonna do?
Yeah.
How are we going to come to this desired effect and final outcome?
Yeah. So these I grew up having on the table all my life. They were always a part of the, big family dinners. Either my nonna would make them or my mom would make them. And then I had a really fun adventure when I went to Italy this year with my mom in the south, and I got to see and taste the way that they make them there. So what you see here is a combination of what I grew up with my entire life and inspired by what I experienced when I was on my travels, which is the stuffed arancini. They've got bolognese and mozzarella inside.
Amazing. So what are the ingredients and how did you prepare the rice and the sauce?
Yeah. So we start with the arborio rice, which is the Italian sticky rice. You're going to want to boil that just till it's al dente, and you put some, salt and a little bit of garlic in there so it has some flavor. And then once it's cooked, you want to let the steam out so that it doesn't, so it's not too hot, so it cools off a little bit, because you're going to crack an egg and put some cheese in there. But you don't want the egg to instantly scramble upon contact of the rice. You want the rice to be cool enough that the egg stays raw, and you mix it all in. And so the egg and the cheese combination is going to help make it really, really sticky. But then you want to put a dish towel over it and put it in the fridge for 2 hours to overnight, ideally, so that the rice can get really, really sticky. So after it's been cooled for over 2 hours, you can take it out. I made a bolognese last night for us, again from scratch.
And so we're going to put together the rice with a bit of mozzarella.
Stuff it with mozzarella.
And then the sauce
inside. And then we, deep fry them so that they're nice and crispy on the outside and gooey and cheesy and melty on the inside.
Yum. Okay, so what do we do first?
Okay, so first we're going to chop up the cheese. So we're going to cube it.
Okay, no need for the grater.
No need for the grater, actually.
It's just for decor.
Just there, yeah. So we're going to cube it because we're going to want to stuff these. So I don't know if this was the right knife, but this was the one that I
You chose it
found.
because it's a cute knife.
Yeah.
We know that. Oh my gosh. Have you always been really musical and?
Yeah, ever since I was, I think 5 or 6, my mom put me in piano. So I did the Royal Conservatory of Music classic piano lessons as a kid.
How old were you when you started that?
I think 5 or
wow.
Yeah, very, very young. And I'm so grateful that I did that, as much as I did end up quitting when I was in high school. It became too much of a problem to practice 2 hours a day, and it wasn't very cool to be practicing for your piano exam and all that. But I took it almost right to the end. I went right to grade 9. It only goes to grade 10, so it was something that I did my whole life, and it built the foundation of this language that I now have access to, that I didn't realize I would revisit in a really meaningful way later in life. So yeah, I really feel like it I couldn't imagine if I didn't have that experience, didn't have that foundation.
Did you have a break then before you?
Yeah. So around high school, when practicing wasn't cool, and going to piano wasn't very, it wasn't a priority. You know, you're a teenager, you want to party, you want to be like with your friends, you don't want to be practicing your scales and arpeggios. And so
I actually love arpeggios.
They
Like,
are
just,
kind of
like,
fun. You're
They
like
make me
skipping
feel
up and down.
meditative. Yeah, and it just sounds so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's literally all I'll do. That's as much as I've learned in piano.
Yeah.
But anyways, continue.
The appreciation comes full circle.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just didn't really like practice music. I was always writing music as a kid, always like writing songs. That was always something that I did. But then after high school, just took a step back, went to university, partied, had a good time, studied, but I wasn't actually really writing music or didn't have a piano in my dorm or anything like that. And it wasn't until 2014 the story kind of builds. Let's start to get these together, assemble them as we go, and then I'll continue the story.
Okay.
So
Oh yeah, that smells good.
I made that last night.
Tell us how you made this.
Okay, so again, starting from scratch. So we have some olive oil in the pan with some onions and garlic. Sizzle that up a little bit until the onions get, what's that word, caramelized.
Yeah.
And then you want to add your ground beef. So I started until the beef starts to get brown. Then you add the sauce, a little bit of basil, a little bit of salt. No oregano. Italians don't put oregano in their sauce. This is for everybody for the future. No oregano in the sauce.
Yeah.
Basil is a yes, oregano is a no.
Really? How come?
I don't know, it just gives a weird taste. It's just, I think it's often like lumped in with all the green spices that you would put in a sauce, but it's not one that...
Is it wrong for me to say oregano is like for the Greek? Like that's a Greek herb flavor?
We use it on like fresh stuff, so like on a tomato salad with garlic, you can put oregano, but for whatever reason in the sauce, it gives a flavor that's not, in my opinion, necessary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what do we do now?
Okay, so what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna rinse my hands too.
Yes.
We're going to create, we're gonna put the oil on first. Then we're gonna create the rice balls.
Okay, let me just light this up. So this is just vegetable frying oil. Whatever kind of oil is good for high heat.
Perfect. Yeah. All right. Okay. So for these, what we're gonna want to do is just get right in. I took all my rings off because you don't want to get rice stuck in your hands and fingers and things. And then we could each have a spoon for the sauce.
Oh, I put my mouth in that.
Oh, okay. So let's not do that one.
Let's grab this one here. Okay, so is
Okay,
this
so you're
enough
gonna-
rice?
Yeah, so you're gonna want to just like cup it in your hand, and then just so you can cover like the palm of your hand essentially.
Yeah.
Flatten it down, and you're creating a little like
Indent?
essentially. You're gonna want to pat it like pretty solid together.
Oh my God.
So I would just like, I think you've got enough. I would just really pat it down. See how mine's like all stuck together.
Okay,
Yeah.
Should I, if I'm right-handed, should this be in my left hand?
In theory, yeah. I think maybe it would be
that's
easier
why.
the other
I was
way.
like, why does this feel funny? I'm
Yeah.
like, you're like your left hand's like, okay.
just a little extra strong. And you kind
Exactly.
of want it to be like cupped, so as if you're gonna like hold something, so you can like curve your hand. Yeah.
Okay.
And then we're gonna put a piece of cheese. You could put a big one or two small ones. Yeah.
Okay.
Now we get our sauce and just like fill it up. This is definitely gonna be a little bit messy, so that'll be okay.
Messy is fine.
Yeah. Then you're gonna want to grab more rice.
Okay.
And now you, I don't know how to describe this. You want to like put it all together in a way, and you're going to make a cone. It's okay if you don't get it right the first time.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to describe, so I'm just kind of showing you.
Okay.
And you're going to turn it, you want to, as long as it's stuffed and as sealed as it can be, you can see that you can still see the sauce, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Because at least now it's inside, and that's why we have the breadcrumbs.
Okay.
And then we bread it.
I got this little flat guy.
So you're gonna try to cover it on top and then squish your hands in such a way that you sandwich that sauce inside.
There
and
you
try to
go,
make it in a
little
little
friend.
cone shape if you
There
can.
you go. Well, okay, so I was doing a little bit of reading about arancinis.
Yeah.
And they said that it came over to Sicily, like the food influence was from the Levantine era. I'm like, what is the Levantine era? But it's like from the Arab world.
Yeah, that makes total sense. There's
like very
so
similar
much
to
Arabic.
kibbeh, right? Where it's like a meat or a thing in the center of a rice or grain ball situation.
Yep, that makes total sense with the history of Sicily. It's the Arabic influence is really, really strong there. You can even see on our little blanket that we have here. I picked this up in Calabria. The cultures are very similar in the south of Italy and in Sicily as well. But yeah, that was a really cool thing to experience, was all the rich multicultural history of those lands. I didn't know about it before I went.
Ooh!
All right, let's keep going.
Okay.
You did great.
Should we maybe put this here? Let's put this on the plate.
Because we want to wait until the oil is super, super hot, and we do the rice test. You just put like a little grain in, and once it starts boiling, it's actually
boiling.
not hot. Yeah, once you see the little bubbles around the rice, that's how you know your oil is ready.
Do we want to maybe make a few before we go and just turn it off?
Totally. Yeah. So just it heated up a lot faster than mine does at home.
It's the cast iron.
Oh, it's so good, and the gas stove there.
Yeah. Okay, so round 2.
Yeah.
We're making a thing with an indent. Mm-hmm. Okay, can you now
and back
tell me
to
your
my story? Yeah. So, 2014 was when music started to come back into my life in the capacity that it is now, where I'm writing music and sharing it. I went backpacking to New Zealand on my own to do a play therapy course for the profession that I was in at the time. I was doing one-on-one therapy with kids with autism, and play therapy was something that really interested me, so I thought I would go and study there for a bit.
Cool.
And it was when I was there that I actually realized how much I needed music just in my everyday and to be a part of it. And so I bought myself a piano. I'm backpacking by myself, taking buses from hostel to hostel. Buys herself a keyboard.
88 keys.
Yeah, like a full-size keyboard. And it only stayed with me for I think a couple weeks because I realized how not practical that was, and I went back to the little music store, and luckily it was owned by this very kind little gentleman who was like, you know what, it wasn't supposed to be able to give you a refund, but I can see that you're traveling. What if I give you a little guitar in exchange?
Oh.
And I was like, okay, you know what, you have a deal. Let's do this. This guitar was way smaller. I could throw it on my back.
Yeah.
And so I taught myself how to play guitar at a hostel in New Zealand just because I couldn't physically carry a piano, and so that was where guitar came into my life.
The number of travelers who've done exactly that. You know what's funny is that on my travels, because at that time I started relearning and picking up piano, having lessons with Astrological, Nate, shout outs, Potato Head people. And I ended up getting a mini keyboard that I could hook up to the computer, and that way I could have all 88 keys through that.
Yeah.
But it was the exact same thing where people were trying to sell me on the guitar. You know what's better for travelers?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, I'm trying to work with the dexterity of my hands, and it is not guitar.
Yeah. Good for you for sticking it out and not getting switched over.
Yeah. Okay, so
but I'm glad I did.
You learned guitar, which is so useful.
Yeah, we learned guitar and we played. And that was just kind of fun. It wasn't until 2016 when I suddenly became really, really sick. And so I had the onset of an autoimmune condition. I didn't know it was this at the time. All I knew was that I couldn't walk. I couldn't stand up long enough to brush my teeth.
That literally just came out of nowhere.
It came out of the blue. It started off as pain in both of my legs and in behind my knees and in my hamstrings, and I thought it was a running injury, and so I was doing all this treatment as if it were some sort of a running injury. But then it kind of spiraled really quickly to the point where I was living in a 300 square foot studio at the time, and I couldn't get from my bed to the kitchen.
Oh my gosh.
It was and in hindsight you're all these red flags, you should have gone to emergency sooner, but you're kind of in denial and really not knowing what's going on and thinking the next morning you're going to wake up better, but you just keep not waking up better. And yeah, one day I just bent down to tie my shoelaces and I got a zip up my spine of pain, and I was with my girlfriend and she just looked at me. She's like, can you move your arms? Can you move your legs? I was like, yeah. She's like, I'm booking you a flight home. And she coordinated with my mom. I have no memory of this. I was completely blackout.
This is in New Zealand still?
This is here. This is back here in Vancouver. She booked me a flight home to Toronto because my family's all in Toronto, and I'm here in Vancouver. And I got home and I had to be in the care of my parents for like 6-7 months while we tried to figure out what was going on with me, because I'm like in my early 20s and not able to stand up or walk, and the doctors have absolutely no idea what's going on. And so in that time I was doing lots of tests, like every test under the sun. I feel like I was a little like pincushion, just getting poked and prodded, and MRIs and neurological muscle tests where they're sticking like prongs in your legs, and it definitely gave me a little bit of white coat syndrome, and I'm trying to work on that.
Yeah.
But
what does that mean, white coat syndrome?
You're afraid to go to the doctor. You don't really want to go anymore because it's just like all of these nurses and doctors, and you're passed off to one hand to the other. And I'm so grateful for the team of people who were working with me, but it's tough to be going in and out of the hospital so much, and
for sure
just be undergoing all those tests kind of doesn't feel so great. Yeah, and so they actually never really truly got to the bottom of it. It turns out it was some sort of onset autoimmune condition where I have an inflammatory condition of my legs and my muscles, and it had just gotten so acute that it took on different iterations where I became like quite disabled, and it was through a few mediums, including acupuncture, massage. I had someone doing Reiki. I had people offering me all kinds of treatments just out of the good of their heart, to try to get me back on my feet. And I had a concoction of a few different women who were helping me in their different specialties, and they got me on my feet. They got me walking again. And after being well enough in my own eyes to be independent, I got back on a plane and I moved back to Vancouver. But yeah, it was a very very crazy thing to happen to somebody just completely out of the blue. But in that time when I couldn't walk, it was just me on the couch at my mom's house. I couldn't even I needed help to get somebody to escort me to the bathroom, so I just had my guitar, my piano, and my notebook, and I would just read, write poetry, and write music.
Wow.
And I found that the only time that I couldn't feel this awful, awful pain in my legs was when I was singing. I would just go to another place and just kind of you leave your body a little bit, I guess. And that was really when it set in for me that I needed music. I needed to make music. I needed to share music, but it didn't matter what that looked like. I need to be singing, and that's where the place where my body is the happiest. That's the place where I could transcend my pain. And if I can go there with my music, maybe I can help take other people there as well. And so that was how I reconnected with music in my adulthood.
I have never heard this story. I'm getting emotional.
I can't believe I haven't shared this. Yeah, I think it's something I really pushed down and repressed and just move on, keep going. Yeah.
But that's incredible. It's also incredible that it's you discovered about yourself that this is where your body feels the most at home and free. Literally counteracting what's physically going on, illness. And it's just it's through art and through music and expression that healing.
And that actual, in a very literal way that you're able to transcend pain. It sounds like something cheesy or something that people just say, but when you're waking up every day to this nightmare inside your body, it truly was. I would wake up and I'd just be ugh, and having all these sensations, what is this? Am I gonna die? Just all these thoughts, because you have no idea. The doctors are oh, it's myositis. This is something that only people got in the war in the 40s. I don't know why you have it and you're 20. And I'm great, that's not helping me at all. I'm getting more scared. And I still actually don't have an answer. I was put on all kinds of drugs, all kinds of different treatments that it would just cure one thing and then cause another thing, and it was kind of this chain reaction. And so eventually I was able to manage through managing my stress, holistic food, acupuncture, CBD helps with the inflammation. And so I've kind of just taken my own path where if I'm in a crisis, I know where I have to go. But for the meantime, I've been able to just manage everything. Manage is a word too, because for those who live with chronic illness and disabilities, your baseline for pain is a lot higher, and so like you're used to waking up, you got a migraine at like 10 a.m. You're like, yeah, okay, that's already part of your day, and you just keep going, and so it's like a different thresholds, and then like it causes like a cycle of guilt where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm in so much pain. I wanted to do A, B, C, and D today, but actually my body is just like hurting so much that I can't, and that feeds into its own kind of cycle, especially as an artist and as a creative and entrepreneur, all those types of things. To be able to keep on getting up every day and just keep going, and then also just be forgiving with yourself on the days when you can't, and realize like, hey, like sometimes 5% is 100% for me today, and so I gave my 100%. That was all I had to give, kind of thing.
Oh, girl, that's really inspiring, and to hear that very unique perspective, because like from the outside, like it's not obvious at all. It really is like an invisible disability, like you say, and like you really can't judge what anybody is ever really going through.
That was definitely something that I learned, unfortunately, the hard way when I was going through that, and it's something that I try to keep in mind all the time when I'm meeting new people. You really don't know what people have going on inside, and a lot of people, whether even mental illness, mental health is another one that's invisible.
Or our seniors who have dementia and cognitive decline. Yeah, so easy to write them off, and it's just like, bruv, are you 70-something? Like, you don't know how the brain actually just like devolves, for multiple reasons. Yeah,
we are so lucky. Like, to have a sound mind is just such a gift, honestly. Yeah, it really is.
Wow, okay, so that was the insight, or the inciting moment of like starting to create music.
Yeah.
And at that time, did you know that you wanted to be like writing albums and writing songs, or was it at that time just like a form of?
It was just a form of coping at the time, for sure. Like, especially before I had moved back to Vancouver, it was just something that was very much giving me life and getting me out of the feeling that I had in my body. But I was writing songs that did actually end up on my first EP that I wrote on that couch at my mom's house when I was sick. So I didn't realize at the time, I didn't have a goal or a plan. But they did end up actually going out into the world, and I was able to share some of them, which is pretty cool.
That's amazing. Did you always like, I guess, was writing songs did that come easy to you?
That was like one of the things I would always do as a kid, and it was probably so annoying. It was like,
because you're learning classical music. You're being classically trained, right?
Learning classical music, but then you grow up as a 90s kid, so we had all that great 90s music, and so here I am, like little 6-year-old diva, like writing songs for every New Year's and everything, and like, when you have like cousins over and you go downstairs and you practice for the parents, and you go upstairs and you're like, we have this show for you. I would be like writing songs and like, bless my parents. They watch so many basement shows.
Oh my gosh. Do you have a special one that you remember, or a very significant one that you remember having done with your cousins?
No, not a specific one, but it was just a tradition with some family friends of ours. There was me, my brother, and my sister, and then another 3 kids who were the exact same age as us. And that was something that we did every single time we got together. Just go in the basement and make a little show, and then go upstairs and show our parents. Very exciting.
That's sweet. That's the opposite of me. I'm going to just call out my mom right now.
Because they made you. I remember this. Oh, we volunteered it.
Going on a road trip, California, meeting all these titos and titas, these aunties and uncles, and I know it was coming. And then I'd try to run away and hide under the table. And they're like, where is she? Come out. You have to do the Spice Girls. And I had to sing Spice Girls and do the dance. And I'm like, this is so rude and unfair. Why would you make me do this? Okay, I guess I can.
Just enough for you, yeah.
I can make one small little baby one.
I'm gonna rinse my hands off now.
How do you think that growing up in your household, especially this very big family Italian household, how do you think that shaped your ability to develop your creative expressions?
I didn't really connect the dots until like recently in my life. Even just actually recently being able to visit Italy, like so many things about my culture I didn't realize like make me who I am. And the influences have always been there, but I just didn't know until I was there and it was right in my face, and I'm like, oh, that's why I love like this so much. That's why I love that so much.
Like what?
Well, like fine arts, sculptures. I see it a lot in Sea of Light, actually, my jewelry business, where it's like seashells and sculptures and statues and things that are like very Roman, but also very the sea down there. Even naming it Sea of Light, even though I'm by an ocean here. And I'm like, oh, that's why I named it Sea of Light, because like my people are from the sea. But I didn't, it's not something that was conscious, just all these little like seeds that are planted, and later you circle back and you're like, oh, that makes sense actually.
Ooh, that's so dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us more about your recent trip and how that was, especially to go with your mom. Like that's pretty special and once in a lifetime kind of opportunity, you know?
It really was. That's exactly what it felt like, especially because my mom's on the other side of the country, so we don't get to hang out too much. So to have 2.5 weeks with her, for me, it was my first time ever being in my homelands, and I didn't realize how badly I needed it. I think everybody needs to go visit where their families are from. Wherever your roots are, go seek them out, because things will make so much more sense. Like I said, I feel like I was just seeing myself everywhere I turned. Everything was new, but everything was so familiar, and my love of spice and hot peppers and just, I don't know, all these things that your influences that you just don't know why you're drawn to certain things and why you tend to do certain things.
Actually, that makes so much sense because
it's like in your genes.
Yeah,
in your
I
bones.
mean, I didn't grow up liking coconut as in the flavor, but then as I became an adult, I really came to like love it and appreciate it. And then when I went to the Philippines in January with my family, I learned that it is considered the tree of life for us. Like we literally use every part of the coconut. I'm like, that makes sense. I always say, I'm like, I'm a mango and I'm a cocoa.
Yeah.
So we light, this is it.
Yeah.
Light it up.
Sweet.
Oh, okay. So that won't take too long to heat.
No, it was so fast.
So then we'll pop them in.
Yeah, deep fry them, just let them get nice and brown and flip them over all the ways. Even at some point we'll stand them up so get the bottoms nice and crispy, and then that's it.
Oh my gosh.
And then we get to enjoy.
We don't eat it with another sauce, like it's just
the sauce is inside, we're good. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
With your music, you know, you have a very unique sound. Like, what words would you use to describe the music that you're making?
I call it alt psychedelic pop rock. That's what I call it.
Yeah.
Because I'm influenced by, like, I love the psychedelic music, songs that like really take you. The 60s and 70s was such a vibe, and the music that came out of that time period was just priceless to me.
Like artists that you liked from that time period?
Well, like the Beatles, like, you know, Jefferson Airplane, and then like Fleetwood Mac a little bit later. Just really, really rich and unique sounds. But then some soul influence too. I honestly don't really know. Like the genre conversation is just like, it's just
hard.
It's honestly just all these pieces of music that has left. Music that's left or changed me or like stayed with me in my life. The Shins is another really big influence of mine. Alt J, like alternative, really alternative sounds. Marina and the Diamonds. I don't know if you've ever heard of her. She's really cool because she is a Greek pop artist, but she does these operatic runs in her songs like I've never heard before. And that was another one where I realized after, and I was like, oh yeah, that's where I'm doing this. In my recent song Doll, I do these like vocal runs, and I'm like, this is like, I don't know how to describe this genre or why I even did that. But then I go back and listen to Marina, and I'm like, oh yeah, like that's probably where I got that influence from, because she wasn't afraid to just like mix things in songs that you didn't think that you would. Like you wouldn't think you would have operatic components in a pop song, but it works sometimes. Yeah.
Okay, I think this...
I'm gonna do the rice test again.
Ish?
Close.
What should it be doing?
It should be bubbling fast.
Got it.
So it's like, we're like 30 seconds out.
Okay, sweet. That's a good test, actually.
Yeah.
The tiny bit. Like, you never want to pop food in when the oil isn't hot enough, because then it just soaks up too much oil.
100%.
We don't need that.
We don't need that.
We don't need to clog up our hearts. We're
No.
good. Okay, here we go.
Okay, so that's looking good.
So we're ready?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay, I'll let you come on this side.
Amazing.
How would you describe your process when it comes to writing a song?
Sometimes it's intentional, and I'm just sitting down and I'm fiddling at the piano and a melody comes, and I sat down because I was hoping to explore. Other times it's kind of very blackout. Like I've been inspired by something, the song is coming, like 15 minutes, record it on your phone before you lose it forever, and then building off that like little stem. I'd say some of my favorite songs are written kind of in like that blackouty moment where you're just like so inspired that you don't really remember the process of writing the song. It just kind of like appears. And yeah, it's like one of those things where you just like hit record on your phone and hope that you have it saved somewhere. That's usually how it goes.
Well, what's cool about you is like, you know, as we've gotten to know each other as friends and hearing about how music is going, like you working with different players and essentially like creating a band around the music that you're writing. Like, how is that?
That's been the most fun and like amazing part that I would have never dreamed of. Like little me who was writing those songs as a 6-year-old and charging upstairs so proudly with them would have never imagined that like she'd be doing this one day.
Yeah.
It all happened organically, like meeting the people that ended up becoming the members of my band, people who genuinely really liked the sound and would add to it their own personalities in a way that always added and never took away or never felt like, ooh, could you not? Like there's never any of that. Everybody's creative input is always welcome, and I feel like everybody sees the vision. So when we play together, it's honestly the most magical feeling. I love it so much, and yeah.
So, okay, this is like me and my curiosity of like music writing, right?
Yeah.
And especially involving people to play your music.
Yeah.
So it's like you create a demo of your stuff with, you know, your chord progressions and stuff like this, and then what? You pass it on to different players to essentially play the chord progressions and then go off.
Yeah, I mean, like,
this is what I'm thinking. But
yeah, like song
goes.
to song,
Yeah.
it's totally different. The way that it happened for me was one practice when I was just kind of already preparing for a show for something else, and I had 2 songs. My most recent release is Oz and Doll, that I had written on the guitar, and I was really shy about, one was guitar, one was piano. I was really shy about them. They were just very basic bones, like lyrics and a piano run or guitar chords. And my band was already in the room. They were all together in the room for this instance. And I was like, hey guys, I wrote these songs. Like, I don't know if you want to hear them. And I was playing. And then they just kind of all started to jump in while I was playing. And it couldn't have been more perfect. And I was like, okay, this sounds way sicker, way less sad, because it kind of sounds a little sad when I'm playing on the guitar.
Yeah.
But yeah, essentially it would be the same thing. Like if you're doing it online, like send it off and have them jump in. I like having everybody in the room because you can like feed off each other's energy and each other's vibe, and like yeah, it just works a lot better that way. But
what have you learned about who you need to be in that space leading?
Honestly, as long as I'm like tuned into whatever the music is and whatever the project is, it doesn't feel too much like I guess you are the anchor, you are the center, but I don't really feel like I'm leading. It kind of feels just like a shared experience, like a shared process, as long as we all know where we want to go with the sound. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And so you choose the players based on that.
Yeah, I have a core group of people who I really, really love to play with, but I also
Yeah.
have an extended circle of musicians that I'm so lucky to have that I can call in if I need a sub.
Yeah.
But I do have like my core band
Who are
members.
they? Shout them out.
So we've got Adrian Fitzpatrick. He's been playing bass with me for quite a few years. David
Yes.
Zier on the guitar. He's added some really cool psychedelic elements to some new songs that I have that I'm working on. I'm really excited to share those. We have Dom Filipil on the keys. He plays piano for me. Really, really lovely. And then Ricardo Germain on the drums, and he's been doing a lot of my production. And yeah, they've been kind of the core group of people that have been working with me for the past few years, and I owe a lot to them because they've really helped me pull together a sound that I couldn't have dreamed of, but it just feels like very aligned, and
It's tight.
yeah.
It's so unique. Sidebar.
I know, we want them to get nice and crispy.
Okay, and do we keep the heat at this high or
Maybe a little bit lower, yeah.
a little bit low? We'll go on medium.
Yeah.
It's like a sixth sense that I have.
Yeah.
Where I'm like
Perfect.
managing the time of cooking.
Yes.
Ooh, that looks good, girl.
I'm excited.
Yum. I forgot to mention that this is also the beautiful and wonderful partner of a season 1 interviewee guest that we had, aka Hugo of Rebirth. and he's also styled a lot of and made a lot of the things that
Yeah.
you've performed in, which is super cool.
One of the perks of being with a clothing designer is, you can get some custom fits before the show. I try not to ask too much of him. He's a very busy guy, but yes, I do get the bonus end.
Come on,
of
girl,
some
you gotta
freebies.
tap into your
Oh yeah,
bennies. Tap into your benefits.
We do.
Yeah. Well, and what's also awesome is like what you have in common as well is making and designing jewelry.
Yeah.
Which, you did it first, essentially.
But he was actually the reason that I got into the jewelry because he was bringing me stones home. So he used to work at the Nom, which was right beside the crystal shop.
Yeah.
And so
Sorry, did
after
you want
work,
it lower or higher?
Lower. Did I just make it higher?
Yeah, you did.
Totally.
Okay.
Thanks for checking.
Yeah.
He used to bring me home crystals after work.
Yeah.
And so that's how my crystal collection and love started. And then I wanted to learn how to wrap them. And then we came up with the idea of like carving them to set them in.
Carving
crystal. Stones, yeah. But he was the
Oh.
one who actually taught me how to do my first wire wrap too. You know those like crystal wraps where it's all like in a cage?
Yeah.
That I
The
had
starter
learned-
pack.
the starter pack, crystal
Yeah.
wrapping 101.
Yeah.
We started there. And then we were long distance for a little while because he was in Winnipeg. And then while he was gone, I just kind of like really loved it and kept going, made an Etsy. And then the pandemic happened and people really loved my pieces. And then I was like, okay, I guess I'll actually do this as a real job. And that's how it happened. But yeah, we do, we taught ourselves how to silversmith throughout the pandemic, like during the lockdown period. We watched
in that episode with Rebirth, we do a little demo on silversmithing.
Right in the living room.
Yeah.
Living room silversmithing. Don't highly recommend. Definitely get a bench, but we're not there yet.
Yeah.
It's really awesome to be able to co-create. And
How did you get into crystals?
that was it really, like him bringing me crystals after work, and then just wanting to know more about them and being fascinated about them. I was into them when I was 9. My first crystal collection ever actually started when I was a kid, but it was something that was like music where I was really into it, and then I just left it alone for a lot of years, and then it just came back, and in a way that I never would have dreamed that I would have my own jewelry business and be silversmithing, but yeah.
This is some of the stuff that Maria makes. Tell us about the pieces that you're wearing right now.
Yeah, so these pieces are inspired by my trip to the South and my culture. So I've got the red coral and the pearls, which you'll see a lot of like the red Mediterranean coral in Sicily and down in Calabria as well. And pearls, like the ocean jewelry. And then this one here is called cornicello, so it's like a red horn. And that's an Italian protection symbol, so similar to like the Turkish evil eye, where it's meant to like, keep the evil eye away, essentially. So
and then you have little pieces of sea glass too.
Oh, these ones are,
The green?
the Roman glass. And peridot, and yeah, I've got glass on here.
Yeah.
Peridot, I can't remember actually what's all on there. And then I have sea glass, so it's not on
And
this thing.
pearls.
And pearls.
Yes.
And I'm just about to start a new collection with some sea glass that I collected on the beach in the south of Italy. This is one of the pieces there. So yeah, I'm just working on that right now.
It's gorgeous.
Thank you.
I love that. We're
Little
just gonna,
piece of the sea. Carry
sample.
it with me.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh, what inspires your designs?
I let the stones decide what they want to be. I know that might sound silly, but
Not at all.
I feel like they're the center stage. Like I like to just build around the stone. If it wants to be, very like elegant and not have a lot around it, then it can be that. But I also have been having a lot of fun playing with multi-stone pieces. So I'm working on some right now that look like little like mosaics or stained glass where there's multiple like sea glasses in there. But for the most part, I honestly, this is weird. I lay out all my stones and crystals, and I just let them talk to me. I let them decide. Tell me when they want to be wrapped, what they want to be turned into, and that's how it goes. We just listen.
I've received many gifts from Maria. That is definitely one of your love languages, which I've come to learn, which is so sweet. And every time it comes with like a little inscription of like whatever that crystal is, what it means, that you've like not hand typed.
Yeah, typewriter.
You've typewritten.
Typewritten.
Whatever, man. Also has an insane collection of typewriters, you and Ugo.
Yeah.
but yeah, and it's cool because I've learned a lot about crystals through you.
I love that.
Yeah, and that, each one represents different things or hold a different kind of energy or, yeah. How would you, for anyone who is new to crystals, like how would you work with them, for example?
Yeah. So first of all, they can be appreciated on so many levels. Some people just appreciate them for their beauty. Other people for their geological elements and how they're composed.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's like the energetic components to it, where it gets really fun to explore when, working with crystals for a while, you see that people are really drawn to them when they're going through things. When kind of life brings you to those certain moments where you're kind of looking for help, you're looking for answers, or you're looking for comfort. And they can be really helpful in those times, which is why I was drawn to them, and why so many people are. In terms of using them, it's pretty much just intuitive. There's no rules. The internet likes to tell you that there's rules and you can pair this with this and only put this by the window or only do this on the full
Put
moon.
this one by your phone and for radiation, EMF,
Yeah.
and la la la.
And like there are different like places. Yes, some will be more protective and grounding, some will be more this and that, but really it's intuitive. So like it could be as simple as one just like kind of screaming at you from the counter. It's like, put me in your pocket today. And so you're, for whatever reason, you can look into it or not, you're meant to just have that energy with you for the day or put it in your pocket. Yeah, just kind of listen to it. Put it on your bedside table. Stick it in your bra. Like bring a little crystal to your exam if you've been studying with it and it helps you not be nervous. They're really just meant to be like a little like support. A little support worker. I always have crystals on me.
What is the current crystals that you're vibing off of these days?
I've been, I recently lost my grandfather and I don't know what's going on, but my heart has just been really wanting that love and that softness and that gentleness. So I'm liking like angelite is a really nice soft stone.
That's the one that's like blue,
Yeah.
like bright blue.
That baby blue
Yeah.
one. Yeah. I like manganic calcite because the calcites are really good for the nervous system and it's calming. Rose quartz is so underrated. People will overlook it because they think that it's everywhere. It is such a beautiful stone and such a great one to have. I have one that I sleep with and it just provides me that like gushy, like lovey feeling.
Aww.
Yeah, I've been a softie lately.
I have a giant. Do you remember that? Like the giant rose quartz that I have.
The rough one?
Yeah, it's like all rough cut,
Yeah.
but it's like, it was funny because when I first started getting into crystals and I went over to my mom's house, who she is like a conduit of like collecting other people's stuff to then donate. Like, that is her,
her jam.
Her jam.
Yeah.
And she donates or she'll send things back to the Philippines or she'll just collect it and keep it. And she had this insane collection of like giant pieces of rose quartz, turquoise.
Really?
And when I first started getting into crystals, I was like, Mom, do you know what you have?
Yeah.
Like that would retail at like over like $100.
Yeah, she should be selling
for-
them on Facebook Marketplace.
No, she's like, that is my treasures.
Aw,
That's
yes, Mom, keep them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so she let me keep them and I'm not allowed to give them away, of course, and I wouldn't because I know what they are.
Yeah.
But yeah.
They were your moms. That's so sweet.
Exactly. But it's just funny because I'm like fully connecting with them on an energetic spiritual level and she's just like, that's my rock collection.
Yeah.
So good.
And that's the beauty about it is that people can be drawn to them for like totally different reasons, but they're still loved nonetheless. And we've been, like humans have been loving gems and crystals since we discovered them. We've been decorating ourselves in them and burying ourselves in them and making art with them.
Well, actually, that's what this necklace is about. So this necklace includes this piece called a linglingo. And like my ancestors, it's exactly that. Like they uncovered these on archaeological sites of this shape, which it symbolizes essentially the uterus and the phallus. So it represents like fertility. It represents the balance of divine feminine and masculine. And, my ancestors worked a lot with brass, with silver, with jade, that they had found this symbol. And yeah, when I went to the Philippines, I found a charm, and this is rare to find in North America. I would try to find like jewelry or necklaces with this symbol.
Yeah.
And yeah, I found it in the Philippines and I brought some pieces back. And then I had these two, one was a pearl, the black pearl, I had that as a bracelet. And then the white pearl was a gift from my mom from the Philippines. And that was like a choker necklace. And then I gave it to Maria, and I was like, I really love to put these all together. And she like took them apart and then made this design, and then have another one with the white pearls. But yeah, it's exactly that, like wanting to feel connected, I guess, to the motherland and connected to, I guess, what these symbols mean, you know? Especially as a creative, it's like I want to connect to anything that like represents like creation or, you know?
Yeah, and I think there's something like really powerful in connecting with your own symbols and your own culture. We're often used to like sharing cultures, which is a very beautiful thing, but I think there's something very powerful about really going inwards and connecting with your own. And I don't know, I've just found that way. I feel like when I'm like getting myself dressed now and I'm putting on my pieces that I got in the South or that were inspired by there, I feel like I'm like, oh, I'm a little Italian princess. Like, I don't know, it just has a different feeling to it. It just feels like, I don't know, it's a nice thing, and I think it's just really important to connect with.
Please tell the story of what you just told me earlier today about this is like how Italian things got when you were at the airport.
Yeah,
so good.
I just came back from a short trip to Toronto to visit my family, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And I flew with one of those cheap flights where you can only take a personal item, so not even a carry-on.
They be charging you these days.
Yeah.
Not included in your flight ticket.
Not included, yeah. So my brim was like, my bag was stuffed to the brim. I had cookies and hot peppers and sausage, supersata in there. I definitely got stopped by security. And then I also had a plant. Because my godfather, he has a very green thumb, and he planted some coffee beans from a tree that he had grown, and it turned into a little mini coffee tree. And so here I am, like going through security. Of course, they pull it over, they open the bag, sausage is falling out, and I have a coffee tree. I got through fine. He just looked at me, and I was like, I'm Italian. And he smirked, and he's like, what kind of plant is that? And I was like, it's coffee.
Yeah.
Okay, go.
Don't worry, everything is domestic.
But it was a
legal.
success. I know. I wasn't sure if they were going to confiscate my sausages or my plant, but no, it was good. We got it through, and so yeah.
Honestly, that's the one part where I was like, in this lifetime, if I was Italian, because my other nickname is Salami Mommy. Because I'm obsessed.
Yes.
Like, even when I was like I've never claimed vegetarian status, but I'd make those decisions.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Like, I don't do labels. I say strategic eater. And
okay, I like that, yeah.
you don't eat with strategy.
Yeah.
And sometimes the strategy of the day is going to be salami, like, hands
sometimes
down.
that is a strategy. Yeah, it is a good strategy. Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
so good.
My dad was making his own for a while there. He's an engineer.
Yeah.
And so he turned, like, the cantina, the cold room, into...
No, what's the cold room? Share with
the
me.
cold room. Okay,
What
all
does
the
that
Italians.
mean?
Oh, okay. In our basements, we have a cold room, which is the cantina, which is where you store, like, you see, like, I don't know if you've seen, like, pictures of, like, the meats hanging off of the hooks. Like, that's a real thing in, like, most Italian households in the basement. And then jars and jars of sauce. Because the people who came here, for the most part, came in the 50s. They're fleeing during the Second World War, as my family did. And so they came from poverty, from lack. Like, literally, my ancestors were hiding out in caves, escaping from the Nazis who were taking over their towns and their homes and their villages. And so they were eating potatoes in caves. And so there's actually a story, my great-grandfather snuck some beans on the boat when he came because he didn't know if there was going to be food when he was here. And so I actually have planted, and my cousins, and we're continuing to plant the beans that my great-grandfather brought when he came here off the boat.
Yeah.
But yeah, coming from poverty. And so when, they moved here, and then they were able to have a little bit more abundance and stability than was available back home, it became tradition to do all the preserves, to make jars and jars of sauce for the winter, and can peaches, and cure the meats, and make your own wine. And that's all stuff that, like, very much my family I grew up with, and it was just a part of my life. But the thing with the curing of the meats is that you can only do it in the winter, because the cold room, the cantina in the basement, is only cold enough in, like, January, February for the meats to cure. Unless you're my father, and you can create a climatized cold room that recreates the January, February Toronto winter all year round. So you can make sausages any time of the year.
I am coming over. That is for sure. Mr. What's your dad's last name?
Sicilia. You can find him on
Mr.
Instagram.
Sicilia.
Papa Luigi's Calabrese.
I'm coming over. Feed me salami, mommy.
Happily, yeah.
That would be amazing. I need to understand this cold room situation. We can have an episode about it just for you.
Talk about the candinas, the preserves.
Well, now I realize that I have no idea how people make salami.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We can get into it.
Let's talk about it, yeah.
Okay. Oh. Okay, so what's happening here?
So here we're almost done.
Yeah.
These guys are ready. You guys, if you want to jump in, you let me know because these guys are going to take a few minutes.
Okay.
But
yes.
Yeah, that's it.
I think we should sample.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's bring it over here. Ooh wee! I'm trying to remember the last time I had an arancini. Like it might have been from Bosa. Bosa's like the grocery store.
Okay.
You know, we'll just cover our crumbs here.
Yeah.
Here we go. Homemade Maria Cenzina's Familia recipe. All right, girl. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Hot. Mmm.
But you get into that sauce bite.
I understand why you were like hot oil, make it crispy. Because it's like crispy, crunchy.
And then
Look
soft
at that.
on the inside.
Look at that.
Yeah.
I even had asked her, I was like, girl, I got gifted all this cheese. Don't ask me why. But I was like, do we want more other kinds of cheese in there? And she's like, no. We want the mozzarella because we want this
Stringy
vibe.
Yeah. We've already got the parm and the sharp cheeses in there. Just all blended in.
What else is your favorite Italian dishes?
I love pasta. There's so many kinds of pasta that you can have. It doesn't have to be boring. It can be so good. Really, yeah. And homemaking pasta, that's another one. I want to start to do that more.
Like with the actual noodles.
Yeah, like double O flour and eggs, and that's all you need, really.
Can we make ravioli?
I love that.
I like pasta with things on. I
Stuffed,
like anything
yeah.
stuffed with anything.
Yeah.
There was one period of time where, shout outs to Jamal, who is co-host of season 1, season 2, co-producer, and we were obsessed with this idea of like, what if on the show all we featured were what we called pleasure-filled pockets? And every culture has them.
Yeah.
Empanadas, samosas,
Yeah.
arancini,
Yeah.
kibe, like
Ravioli.
patties, Jamaican patties. Like it goes on. Like
Wontons.
every dumplings, bao. Every culture has figured out pleasure-filled pockets.
There's something there.
Right?
There really is.
I said it first. Nobody steal this idea, okay? Don't even need to talk. Just point.
Enjoy it, yeah.
Wow. I think cooking is one of the most beautiful art forms to exist.
I live for it. I wake up and the first thing I think about is what I'm making for dinner.
You're one of those too.
I'm one of those. I'm like a 70-year-old lady and it's great.
I totally, I'm like, what am I going to eat today?
Yeah.
Again, the strategic eater.
Yeah.
It's like, what am I going to fuel myself with today?
What's it going to be? Yep. Yeah, food is very much one of the main loves of my life.
Who would you say is, I guess, one of the most influential people to you in your art making?
Who? Oh. Oh my gosh. Like who influences like what I make?
Yeah, or like, I guess artists or designers or something that you feel has like really influenced what you've made and what you create now.
I think it's just like every time, like as I mentioned, like when a song pulls you in and you just have to listen to it like 10 million times on repeat because you couldn't imagine your life without it. Or like when you see a work of art in front of you and you just can't stop taking it in and you just want to know everything about it. Like when you get pulled in to that, just wanting to create that or wanting to share moments or experiences that have pulled me in to a place where I feel inspired to even make something about it or like care to share it. Just like that moment of like when you connect with somebody's idea or somebody's creation and it leaves you like changed, leaves you feeling seen, leaves you feeling understood, or leaves you with more questions, but in some way you're different after that interaction. I'd say that.
Oh, that's a good answer, sis. In a more simplified sense, like, who would you say is one of the most influential people of your life, period?
I see that I find hard because there's so many. Like it depends on like which hole I was being pulled out of at that time. You know, like different artists.
Doesn't need to be an artist. Could be someone in your life. You know.
I mean,
first one that comes into your head.
I want to say my sister. Yeah.
Why?
Just like to have a person on the planet that you just feel that you connect with and that you know and that you're safe with no matter what, and you don't need words. You can just like telepathize and see one another. I think that's really special. Yeah.
That's special. I didn't get to grow up with a sister, and that kind of like bond of sharing in life experience and with parents, it's really unique.
It is, yeah, and I appreciate it more, you know, as we grow up.
What are your maybe like, I guess your highest aspirations that you want to take with your music or your jewelry?
Yeah, I just want people to hear my music. I want my music to be able to find others the way that certain songs have found me in the most critical times. To reach a big enough audience that enough hearts and ears can, I don't know, just feel seen and be able to like, yeah, hopefully just feel a little bit, you know, more comfort and that they're not alone and that, you know, we're all kind of like doing this together and we're, yeah.
Vancity, in terms of like who you've gotten to know here in the creative community, who are some artists that you really are inspired by what they're doing or what they're creating?
Oh my gosh, there's so much talent in this city that,
Great.
Oh, you're putting me on the spot here.
It's okay. First three you think of. It doesn't mean anyone else that's not in this list isn't important.
Okay,
You
well,
are.
We've got my homie Shot by Devin. He is making beautiful photography and sharing his life experience on a very personal level, and it's very relatable. His artwork is amazing, and you should definitely check him out. You know, there's the Snotty Nose Res kids who are just killing it right now. You know, they're talking about all kinds of important things, raising awareness about all sorts of things that are happening in Canada, and they're just super, super dope, so-called Canada. And then number three, I want to go to a different medium. Like, of course, like my partner. I don't know, it would be hard not to mention him because he influences me on the day-to-day, and I wake up every day just also involved in whatever amazing art piece he is creating, and so he constantly inspires me. Rebirth official. By the way.
Look it up.
Yeah.
On Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah. The stuff he's been painting on clothes.
I know.
We're going to do a show.
Otherworldly.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
We were talking about it.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. I love that. Oh, okay. So these are almost done.
Yeah, we're there. Arancini.
So I also heard that it's called that because of oranges. Like, because arancini is orange.
Yeah,
orange.
that's a good question.
You're like, I
I
can't
should have
answer
done
that.
my research, yeah.
That's so good.
Yep.
Here, one more for you.
I still gotta work on my
Oh.
other one there. Get into it.
Seriously, Sean is gonna
Yes.
love this afterwards. Is there anything that you want the peoples to know about what you've got coming up, or you know, anything that to stay tuned of? Any upcoming shows or?
Yeah, I've got some new music on the way, so be sure to check out my Spotify. It's just my middle name on Spotify, Cenzina music. Yeah, definitely stay tuned for those. They were recorded with the same process as Doll and Oz, so the sound will be very similar, very psychedelic, full band. I'm really, really excited about these next two songs. And if you want to support my jewelry, my art, that Sea of Light, I am just doing a huge website drop right now with my Mediterranean collection, as well as a lot of sterling silver pieces. So there's about to be a whole inspired line of work that's about to go up on the internet in the next 48 hours.
Woo!
So do check that out.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, if you could collaborate with like a dream artist that you'd want to work with, like your dream artist that you'd want to work with, who would that be?
The first thing that came to my mind, which is such a weird answer, but like to work with like an artist like the Shins and just go back in time, and I don't know, that would be out of this world. I'm like not even really in that style or anything like that, but I don't know, they've created music that has really like marked periods of my life that as soon as I play their music, I can jump back in time and go to that. And they just have such a cool, like spooky, but it's like happy, sad way of writing music that just, I don't know, it really pulls me in.
That's a good answer. And they came from what era?
Good question. I think they were releasing music in the early 2000s, something like that. Yeah. Yeah, and I got to see them a couple years ago, and it was one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life. It's like, wow, I've been listening to this music in my headphones for like 15 years, and then to hear this song, and you're playing it to me now in front of me, and we're in the same room, was just the most epic experience.
Oh, I love that. Okay, well, we're about coming up to an hour of this live stream. It has been so fun learning to make arancinis with you, to talk to you about your personal story, about music, about jewelry, about life, your family. I'm really appreciative that you could come on and spend time with us.
I'm so appreciative of you for inviting me on here. Just absolute pleasure. It's always, I love cooking for you too, so thank you. And
Next time on this show, it's going to be with your dad and salami.
Sausage, yeah, we're going to make sausage.
Actually, though,
yeah.
shout outs to everybody who's tuned in, who's watching the replay and the recording afterwards. We have been broadcasting live on the unceded ancestral lands of the Musqueam, the Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish First Nations, what we call Vancouver, BC, but what we love and know as Vancity. Shout outs to all of y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace.
See ya.
Bye. Oh my God.